are the Lamrim teachings on the three principal paths considered the very essence of Buddha's teaching. How can I practice renunciation, bodhicitta and shunyata when I am an ordinary lay person? How can I motivate myself to renounce attachments while still a lay person? In part 1 of this short series on the three principal paths, Venerable Zasep Rinpoche, in a wonderful and concise teaching, explains renunciation for the ordinary lay practitioner. In practical terms, Rinpoche explains how to incorporate renunciation into modern life. Before we begin, if you like this presentation, please like, subscribe and turn on notifications. Please consider supporting Buddha Weekly's mission, Spread the Dharma, on Patreon, at patreon.com/BuddhaWeekly.
The three principal paths are renunciation, bodhicitta and shunyata. So three principal paths is the essence of Lamrim. The Lamrim is, as you know, most of you have studied Lamrim, I don't need to explain to you. Lamrim is a gradual path to enlightenment, and there are many different kinds of Lamrims. Lamrim texts are compiled by great Kadamba masters. The very first Lamrim was compiled by Atisha Dipankara when he came to Tibet, and which is called Changchu Lamji Doma Lamdung. And then there are many commentaries of Lamrim compiled by Kadamba Geshis. And then Lama Tsongkhapa compiled Lamrim Chemo, the great Lamrim, and then medium Lamrim and concise short Lamrim, three different Lamrim texts. There are actually, all in a Gelug tradition, there are 8 different Lamrim texts. Lama Tsongkhapa compiled 3 Lamrim texts, and then there are other Lamrim texts. Third Dalai Lama Gyawa Sonam Gyatso compiled Lamrim text, Essence of Refined Gold, and then 5th Dalai Lama compiled Lamrim called Jambal Shalong, and then 3rd Panchen Lama first Panchen Lama compiled Lamrim Delam, 3rd Panchen Lama compiled Lamrim Yulamati, and so forth. So the three principal paths is renunciation, bodhicitta, and shunyata. Renunciation. These are the essence of the Lamrim and essence of entire actually teaching of Buddha. And so now as I go through, then I will explain. So here, first homage to all venerable lamas. Here, this is the essence of teaching of the victor, the Buddha, Lord Buddha. So this Lamrim is essence of the teaching of all the Buddhas, but also Lamrim is the path that is revered and respected and praised by all the great practitioners like the bodhisattvas, yogis and yoginis and so forth, child of the Buddha, sons and daughters of the Buddha. This is the path for the most fortunate people. If you are fortunate, then you can practice Lamrim, right? Those of us who are able to practice Lamrim, which means that we are very fortunate people on earth. You imagine how many people on this earth now. There's more than 7 billion people. How many people have opportunity to practice Lamrim? You think about. It's like we have saying in Tibetan, it's like rear, like, do you see the stars in the daytime? No. You only see stars at nighttime. So it is impossible to see stars in daytime. So it's like that, very rare. So Lama Tsongkhapa, he promised, he said, I will now explain as much as I can This I shall try to explain as much as I can. So now it's the beginning of, he's talking about what is renunciation, definition of renunciation. Or he's asking you to listen carefully. And also he's explaining, in order to practice three principal path, Lamrim, you have to be a certain kind of person. You have to be a person who is very patient and very sincere and very ardent and deeply interested and deeply appreciated. One must not, here, those who are not attached to the pleasures of cycling samsara. So if you want a practitioner of Lamrim, you have to be the person who is not so attached to this world, this life of samsara, this cycle of life. If you're too attached to this life, and if you are too caught up this life of samsara, you can't be really good practitioner, because you won't have the time, right? And you're too busy. The moment you get up until you go to bed, and you're thinking about this and that, money, praise, power, and or whatever for life, and or a lot of us, of course, a lot of people, they have no choice. They're suffering from poverty. They have many responsibilities. You have to support your family. That's just the way it is. But again, you could be poor at material level. You could have family, but you can be good practitioners. For example, in Tibet, we have many. Not only, I'm not talking about the monks and nuns, but lay people who have many children and who manage to practice. And they're not rich people. They have to work, but they practice. What they do is, because they integrated the Dharma into their life. Who strive to make freedom and endowments meaningful. So what this means, that we have achieved freedom. We have freedom to practice Dharma. We live in free society. We are very fortunate. And we are not always poor, not caught up. We have some leisure time, and especially we live in the West, like you can take times off, and some of us who are retired, and now we have more time to practice. And why not practice? Especially COVID time, you're locked down, you stay home, then it's perfect opportunity for practice of Dharma. Why you complain? You don't need to complain. Don't complain. Like, for example, in Canada, government gives $2,000 a month. Those people who are unemployed for COVID relief. And these days, lots of shops and stores, they have a shortage of staff. And many shops are closed. People don't want to work because they get the money from the government. But they're still complaining. So people always complain. It doesn't matter what happens in life. And people are whining all the time. This is part of the samsara again, samsara mind, right? So we have freedom, what we call freedom, and there are 8 freedoms, 10 endowments. I won't go through because you already know. You go to the Lamrim, right? And so one should not waste this precious human rebirth, 8 freedoms and 10 endowments, while we have who entrust themselves to the path pleasing the victorious ones. You fortunate ones, listen with a calm mind. So if we are good practitioners, we can be very proud of ourselves. We can please all the Buddhas and Bodhisattvas. We can please all sentient beings. We can be very beneficial Dharma practitioners. And if we practice properly, and it doesn't matter how much you practice, that how much you practice is not so important. How you practice is important. Even just a little bit of practice, if you do a proper practice, that's the most important thing, right? Proper practice. So when we're talking about Dharma practice, what is Dharma practice? It depends on your motivation. Depends on you, what you do. According one of the sutra called the 35 Buddhas, praise to 35 Buddha, is called the Confession Sutra. It says, the virtues of good karma of giving a mouthful of food. So if you give mouthful of food, let's say you give a piece of bread to a crow or seagull, piece of bread will be fill up the mouth of seagull, right, or crow. So that itself is virtues, good dharma practice, if your motivation is good. It's nothing, like one piece of bread, you give it to the bird, and how much that takes. And you got so much bread, But actually, giving bread is not very good for the birds, I was told, and because best thing to give to the bird is something very, what do you call it, nutritious food, something. If the bird is a vegetarian bird, like grain, like rice or maybe barley or wheat or something, corn or something, right? And if the bird is a meat eater, you give a piece of meat jerky or something kind of more nutritious, right? Doesn't matter what you give anyway. So I'm talking about virtues, right? So Lama Tsongkhapa is saying, you are a fortunate person. Now you should listen. Please listen carefully and listen with clear mind. Okay, don't distract your mind. He is explaining about definition of renunciation. In order to accomplish real peace, inner peace, peace of mind, peace in our life. We're talking about peace, right? World peace, individual peace. The Sanskrit word is Shanti, Om Shanti, Om Shanti Shiva. So, in order to have real peace in mind, peace and happiness, you have to practice pure renunciation, real renunciation. Namda Nginjung, Tibetan word, Namda means pure. Nginjung. Okay. So he's explaining the definition of renunciation. Without the complete intention, definitely to be free from cyclic existence, from samsara, there is no way to pacify attachment seeking pleasurable effects in the ocean of cyclic existence. If you don't have the pure motivation, pure renunciation, even though if you are seeking for a result of peace and happiness, it is difficult to achieve real peace and happiness, long-lasting happiness. You could have temporary peace, temporary happiness. It's like, a lot of people these days practice this meditation, that meditation, all kinds of mindfulness and cognitive therapy, mindfulness, this mindfulness, that mindfulness, made in America mindfulness, and made in USA mindfulness, and this therapy, that therapy, so many hundreds of therapies, right? So those are temporary things, only for temporarily, for your body, mind, some kind of therapeutic thing. That's not renunciation, because this is just worldly thing. You're practicing worldly meditation, worldly dharma, but the motivation is worldly, right? Because I want some therapy, I got stress, I got trauma, I got this and that. Why not? Of course, it's better than nothing, and and no harm. But when we talk about real dharma practice, pure dharma practice, authentic dharma practice, you have to have real renunciation. So I'm not trying to put down these practices like therapeutic and mindfulness, this and that. And but as I said, they are good. But here we are talking about the real renunciation, right? Also, by craving for cyclic existence, embodied being are continuously bound. Therefore, at the very beginning, seek renunciation. It's part of human mind, like craving. We are bound to be craving since we are born. As a little baby, you're craving mother's milk. You're craving your mommy, craving your daddy, craving everything, and craving for toys, craving for Christmas present and New Year present. And some kids, they're so spoiled, saying, "Daddy, you gave me the same truck last time. I'm not happy with this truck. Oh, I don't like this doll. Mommy, you gave me the same one again." And these kids are spoiled, right? Yeah, of course. They know they're smart. They don't want the same present again. You can't blame them, They're smart. And so you better give something useful, something meaningful. And they're craving. That's part of mind. So we grow like that. As we're growing up, we're craving more and more this and that. So what Lama Tsongkhapa is saying, if your mind is craving everything, so many things about samsara, life, pleasure, this and that, then it's difficult to renounce, renunciation. Here we're talking about renunciation. Renunciation, there's a misunderstanding about what is renunciation, right? Because sometimes the English word renunciation means you sort of give up everything, right? Give up everything. Give up your job, give up your house, give up your car, give up your possessions. Then you become sannyasin, yogi or yogini. You become a monk and then sort of run away from home, and then now you renounce. And the people think, oh, the renunciation is so difficult. I can't do those things. I'm not ready to do this. But that's not really necessarily renunciation. Because, see, the thing is, some people do those things. That's also another form of what they call spiritual materialism. Spiritual materialism. It's kind of escaping. You don't want to take responsibility of life. You just give up everything and then go away, become a swami or become a yogi, right? Escaping. If your motivation is not pure, and you renounce for 1 month, renounce 2 weeks, 3 weeks, and then you come back again. And and this kind of renunciation in Tibetan word we call Nginjung Pusur, which means I'll do my best here, trying to translate, which actually means not bad one. It actually is good one. What happens when you do Lamrim retreat, take teachings from powerful Lama, and then you get this real taste of renunciation. Then you feel like disgusted with samsara. And then you feel like, I want to become real yogi and yogini. And you feel like the pores, hair, you get goosebumps. Ninjung Pusur means goosebumps. You get goosebumps. You feel like, oh, I want to renounce everything. I want to run away. I want to become a monk, a nun, yogi, whatever. You get goosebumps. You get sort of very impatient and very excited about everything about Dharma practice. All I want is Dharma, daytime, nighttime, all the time. You don't care about food, water, sleep. Just practice, meditate for 24 hours. As soon as possible, I want to get enlightened. Nothing. I don't want anything else. This kind of feeling, strong urge, you get sort of goosebumps. And the pusur means you get hair standing from your body, like you have, some people have lots of hairs on their chest and their arms, and especially European people or Indian people have lots of hairs. So hair standing, it's like dogs and cats when they get upset, hair standing from the back of their body. Kind of like that. That's what Tibetan word, Nginjung Pusur. Nginjung Pusur. So those kind of renunciation doesn't last very long, but still better than nothing, right? You get some taste of what renunciation is. But some people never had that experience, right? And because you haven't had a chance to study Lamrim, you never had a chance to do retreat with a powerful Lama. When I was a teenage, I had Nginjung Pusur, those kind of renunciation. Many times, I said to my teacher, I want to go and sit and meditate. in the cave. I don't want to debate studying all this philosophy. And my teacher laughed. He said, you go up there, you won't last more than 1 week, and then you'll come back. And he was right. And I know I won't last very long. And but that was my feeling. This is how it is, right? First, one should practice renunciation. So what is renunciation anyway? Renunciation actually means that you make a commitment yourself to practice Dharma the rest of your life. Doesn't matter what happened in life. Dharma practice is the most important thing in your life. Because Dharma practice is long-lasting. It gives you stability, gives you security, gives you peace and happiness. And money, power, luxury, those things doesn't give you real happiness, doesn't give you long-lasting happiness. Only short-term happiness and comfort. As we say, money gives you comfort, money doesn't give you real happiness. Who gives the real happiness? Dharma practice gives you real happiness. And you go to India or somewhere in Himalayas, you run into some yogis, the yoginis and nuns. They're the most happier people on earth. They got nothing. They got a rope, simple rope, and backpack, and the flip-flops, maybe sandals, and that's it. But they're the most happy people. Here we live in Canada and America, Australia. People have a house, and some people have 2 cars, and money in the bank, and mortgage and old age security, all this and that. Still not happy. You have inheritance, and this and that. You're not happy. You don't know why you're not happy. Sometimes the money is a curse, right? Renunciation is a real strong motivation and commitment to do Dharma practice. That's, I would say, renunciation. Otherwise, just going somewhere and shave your head sitting in a cave and doesn't mean renunciation, because you could be attached to your outfit of monk or nun. You could be very attached to the style of your head. You shave your head, right? Lots of people shave their head today, and business people shave their heads. Who cares? And you could be attached to your cave, right? Say, this is my best cave, number 1 cave. Nobody else has cave like mine. I'm way up in 13,000 feet above the sea level, right? I can see the eagles flying below my cave. I can see the back of the eagle flying. And when I look down, you can be very attached to the renunciation. Sufi people have saying, you should renounce your renunciation. See, this is very profound. You should renounce your renunciation. If you're attached to renunciation, that's not renunciation. You should get rid of that kind of attachment of renunciation. Okay, so I think that's a good enough introduction on renunciation. Lama Tsongkhapa is explaining what is renunciation. By thinking over and over again that action and their effects are betraying and repeatedly contemplating the miseries of the secular existence, attraction to this appearance of future lives is revered. Anyway, so I will do my own translation here. I feel more comfortable doing my own translation. And which means the precious human rebirth in endowments are very hard to obtain. We don't realize, and because we are very fortunate, we already obtained, right? You were born, many of you born as a Buddhist, your parents are Buddhist, some of those people. Many of you are connected with Dharma when you were very young. And I have a couple of students, some of my students, they walk into our temple, they were 16 years old, 15 years old. These guys are very fortunate. How did these guys just walk in? Only 16, 15 years old. they have lots of good karma, previous life connection, right? And some kids, they're born as a Dharma parents, and they are exposed with Dharma. 8 freedom and 10 endowments, precious human rebirths, is hard to obtain. And as I said, how many people already who have the connection with Dharma, in this world, right? There are, as I said before, there are more than 7 billion people, right? So we are very fortunate. So in church tradition, it says, "Lungme jula chawara shinjila," which means I wish that I will have this strong urge, feeling that there is not much time to practice Dharma because life is very short. Life is like a dream. This is what the Buddha said. Life is like a dream. Now, life is dream. Time and year, all these are concepts. You see, 2021, just gone, 2 days ago, for some of you. And like for us here in Canada, yesterday was 2021. Now it's 2022. But that's just words now. Concept, right? Time is only concept. You talk about dream time, and there's no time. There's always one time, or one. Past, present, future is one. It's just different idea. So, but whatever you want to call it, time, but basically life is short, right? Most of us now here in our 30s and 40s, most of you 40s, 30s, 50s, 60s, 70s, right? When you look back, everything is like a dream, gone. So it's like a dream because when you wake up, whatever you dreamed is all gone now, right? If you had a good dream, you feel, oh, that was just a dream. And I wish I have that thing, whatever you dreamed. And if you're a bad dream, you say, oh, I'm glad it's a bad dream. It's just a dream, right? It's not real. Whatever, it's gone now, right? Past is gone. And like a dream. Future, the Buddha said, past is gone, future is, past is memories, and future is fantasy. The real thing is now. Now, be here and now. The Buddha said, meditate, be in the present moment. According to Mahamudra teaching said, resting your mind in the natural state, be here and now. So if you meditate on precious human rebirth, and it's very hard to obtain, and the life is very short. Life is like dream. Life is like lightning. Life is very short, comes and goes. There was one Chinese monk. He said, 40 years go by like a clouds. I like this Chinese monk. He was a real yogi practitioner. He said, 40 years gone by like a clouds. You look at the clouds, just come from the east, gone to the west. Just like gone. 40 years gone by. See, I've been in Canada since 1980. I came straight from Australia. From Sydney, I landed in Hawaii, Honolulu. I didn't even know, I never thought I was going to go to Hawaii. And the next thing I landed in San Francisco. Next thing I landed in Boulder, Colorado. I had a dinner with Chogyam Trungpa Rinpoche. I didn't know I was going to be with him having dinner. It was all like a dream. Then I took the Amtrak, went to Los Angeles, up to Vancouver, across the border, White Rock to Vancouver. I become landed immigrant at the border and permanent resident at the border in the train. Canadian immigration guy came to me, gave me Canadian flag, said, welcome to Canada. Now you're a landed immigrant. Whoa, I was lucky. And so between Australia and Vancouver, I went to America, all these places. I didn't know I was going there. Somehow I ended up. It was interesting. It was a wonderful trip. Those days, so easy to travel, And so I had wonderful travels. And so when you meditate, when you think about, and yila gombe tsende nangshe dos. So if you meditate on precious human rebirth, impermanence of life, this and that, then yila gombe tsende nangshe do, then it will help you to stop your craving mind or false view about life, false view of life. Because life is dream, life is kind of unreal, right? And you think that you're going to live so long, you're going to have a fantastic life, or you think you're going to have a bad life, good or bad, whatever, good or bad, whatever happens. It's like a dream. In English we have saying 30 odd years, 40 odd years. They say, I was learning my English, right? Someone said, I've been living in Tasmania 30 odd years. What does that mean? It's some Australian slang, odd years. Then I found out odd means kind of weird year, sad, strange year, right? Odd years, which just kind of went by, right? Odd years, or dodgy years. And anyway, whatever happens. So, because of when you're meditating like this, then it helps you to have renunciation. In according to Sakyapa tradition, it says, if you are attached to this life, you are not Dharma practitioners. If you're attached to yourself, you are not practicing bodhicitta. If you are attached to the samsara, you are not going to reach nirvana. And Zimbalashina Tawa means, if you're too much, if you got self-grasping or inherent existence self-grasping, then you're not realizing, you have no clue, you have no idea of understanding of emptiness of self, because you think self is inherent existence, independent existence. So these are the four, they call four mindfulness according to Sakyapa tradition. Tenpa Jiden in the Sakyapa tradition. Because the Sakya, Kagyu, and Gelug, when they talk about Lamrim, it's the same thing. In Gelug tradition we call Lamrim, Sakya tradition it's called Lamde, in Kagyu tradition, Gampopa's text called Jewel Ornament of Liberation, or the Lamrim Resha. According to Nyingma tradition, they have a text called Words of My Perfect Teacher, composed by Patul Rinpoche. So these are all Lamrim. Lamrim means gradual path to enlightenment. So if you meditate on cause and effect, karma, lende, le is cause, devu is the result, cause and effect, karma, lende, mulu. Karma will not deceive. Whatever karma you create, the result will come. And whatever virtues, if you create a virtuous karma, the result will be good, happiness and peace. If you create unwholesome karma, the result will be suffering. That's how it is. And if you meditate on the karma, and if you meditate on suffering of samsara, yang sampe, again and again you meditate, chiminhangshe do. Then it says, if you meditate on the karma and the suffering of samsara, then what happens? It will also prevent your attachment to the next life. So as a human being, we got this so many kind of attachment and cling. Some of us say, okay, this life is now over, finished, whatever. But next life, I want this, I want that, I want a guarantee, I want some kind of result, this and that. You now start planning for next life, right? Next life, I want to be reborn in Canada or Australia. I want all the benefits, and I want to have a nice home, this and that. That's called chiminangshe. So then, what happens when you meditate on karma and suffering? Then you realize the samsara, the whole samsara, life after life, and birth, old age, sickness, death, again, death, bardo, rebirth, go round, wheel of life, right? wheel of life and wheel of sharp weapons turning, samsara, korwa. In Tibetan, we say korwa. In Mongolian, we say korwo, korwo. And korwa, samsara, goes round and round, right? And so then you feel like, I would like to get out from samsara as soon as possible. I need to get out from the samsara. And samsara is basically prison. I'm in prison. Who put me in prison? I did for myself. Who else? Nobody's fault. No, there's no authority, no police, no government, no dictators. Nobody put me in prison. I put it myself. It's like when you're hitchhiking somewhere, and I have one friend, he told me, middle of winter, he was traveling across Canada, and in February, or somewhere very cold, minus 30 below zero. He was in a place called Wawa, Ontario. So he thought, I'm going to die. This is so cold. I can't be standing on highway. So then he thought, well, he got right. And then the guy said, okay, you have to get out now because I'm not going this place. And then he got up. And then he saw there was a prison, a real prison. So we went up to the prison, knocking on the door. And said the prison guard, let me go, come inside the jail. I want to come to jail. Because it's safe. They'll give you a bed, they'll give you some food and blanket. So he went to jail. Voluntarily. Of course, if he did it himself, he didn't break any law, he can get out anytime he wants, next day. And they knew that he was suffering from cold. So he let him stay. Kind of like that, in a way like that. We did ourselves, right? Now, Lama Tsongkhapa is explaining the definition of renunciation, definition of renunciation, and he explaining this is how you find out whether you got the realization of renunciation or not. Okay.
Don't miss part 2 of this series on the 3 principal paths in Buddhism, the core of the Lamrim teachings, where Venerable Zasep Rinpoche teaches how to practice bodhicitta in our modern lives. In part 3, Rinpoche teaches how to relate shunyata in our practice. If you enjoyed this presentation, please subscribe. Please consider supporting our mission spread the Dharma on Patreon at patreon.com/BuddhaWeekly. Thank you. Buddha Weekly, helping to spread the Dharma. Thank you.